And we are live, coming to you from my own house. Let me drop this down. Uh, is in my studio, of course, as you guys can tell. Yeah, I know, gun websites, but I'm trying to get everything worked out. Technical difficulties. I'm not in my studio. I'm in my home office. Trying to do this interview with a very important person, trying to get it on, getting it done. The reason why is my wife is currently deployed and I have two little kids, so my studio is too far away to leave them by themselves. They're 3 and 6, and I don't want everything burned down when I come back. So I'm doing it from my home office with a green screen that I currently have gray because it's the only thing that can get worked out. I'm overexposed. I know that. I was trying to fix that. Spent about 15 minutes trying to fix that. Couldn't fix it. So now we're going live here. I'm not sure if I will be able to see everyone's comments on Facebook and everything else. I do see one comment from YouTube, but I'm sure other people are commenting and it's just not coming through. But that's the way we go. See John C. Gun websites out there, and let me just introduce my guest. But before I do that, remember you can always support our mission here by going to. I haven't done this in so long that I'm getting confused. You can do a one-time donation just like a super chat, paypal.me/JohnCC, or you can also visit my Patreon at Patreon/John Crump, and I will show you why. I'm just going to open up my Instagram here, and I'll show you one of the things that we are doing that with the money that we raise. As always, most of our money does not come to me, but we are making really cool stuff for Bellevue Hospital in New York. And let me just share my screen here, and I will be able to show you. Right here, that's me in my mask that we're making PPE for Bellevue, New York. And that's my son assembling a lot of the mask and ear savers right there for Bellevue, New York. And we are supplying them with a bunch of PPE gear and one more, and then we'll get into it. And that is both of my sons helping me box up stuff to ship up to New York. And my wife is a doctor, and she's currently deployed somewhere in the nation. She'll be coming back soon. So with that, let's just jump into my guest today. My guest today is an artist, and he is an artist, a pro gun artist, which I find extremely comforting that there are artists out there that are willing to put their politics on their sleeve, basically with guns. You know, guns shouldn't be a political issue; it should be a right because it is a right. I do have another friend who is a really well-known comic book artist, like very well-known, who is not only pro-gun but also like pro-liberty, pro-libertarian, conservative, and he kind of hides his political beliefs because he says he would probably never work in the comic book industry again. Oh, what the hell? Okay. If he came out with his political beliefs. Owen York, on the other hand, is an artist, and he's an incredible artist. And he is also a pro gun artist. Let me welcome him to the show. Owen, how are you doing?
Hey John, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. You were recently in a magazine, weren't you?
Yeah, there was a article for California Firing Line. It was a California Rifle and Pistol Association magazine. So we did a little interview about some paintings that I did, some goals, some things I'm doing. So that just came out this month, actually.
Yeah. The California Rifle and Pistol Association did have a major victory, although the Ninth
Yeah.
Circuit Court, decided to issue an injunction against it, a temporary injunction. But uh, they won a case in front of the same judge who threw out the magazine ban, and he threw out the background checks on ammunition. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Chicagoland. So,
Chicago, the Windy
right,
City.
but yeah, so I born and raised there, and lived quite a few different places. But now I hang my hat in Nashville, Tennessee, where I've been since 2012.
How did you get into guns from being in Chicago?
Um, it was just one day. I just thought it was a good idea to have one. That's it. And then I bought one, and as you know, it's a strangely addicting hobby. And so you have one, then you have two, then you have more, you know. And then just with what I did, I started, tinkering around with it with the stuff that I work on too. And then before I knew it, I was working in the industry, and now I've been working in the firearms industry for the last 5.5 years now, or something like that. So I actually have two businesses. So I have my art studio, Owen York Studios, but I actually have another business that's called the Gun Industry Marketplace, which I founded. I don't know. The whole thing went through a couple of name changes, but it's about 5 years old now. So now I've been working in firearms for over 5 years, and then I'm an artist, and the two, I always like your comic book buddy. I used to keep my art life and my sort of gun life separate, and but they just sort of merged. They merged, and so, which is fine, because then I can I can speak my mind and say what I want to say, and I don't hide anywhere. It's like, the it's all right in front for everybody to see.
Yeah, the gun industry marketplace. I think I have it up. Is this yours?
There you go. Yeah, it's us. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, the idea is pretty simple. It's kind of like this marketing and advertising platform for the firearms industry, and that's how it started. So we would help businesses. These could be anything: firearms, manufacturers, ammo, services. And the idea was to be able to go to one place to find anything that you would need, whether it was, maybe you need a new supplier, maybe you're hiring and you need to post a job. Maybe you want to see some new products that you don't get to see because they don't have the budgets of like Ruger or Smith and Wesson or something like that. And so we started that a handful of years ago, just after Trump got elected, actually. And yeah, so it's been growing, and it's become, I'd say at least it's one of the top of its type.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically I don't think this green screen's gonna fit. Learning curves. You gotta love them. So it's basically like a one-stop place that allows the smaller guys to be able to compete.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you were like a firearms company of some type, or you provided a service, um, we'd help you get on the map. We'd help you be able to like advertise or market your name and make your brand known. We've added a few things, like I said, a job board. We just added a brand new one we're just calling Gun Industry Marketplace Local. This is for your like FFL dealers, your gunsmiths, your ranges. We added attorneys and lawyers in there because that was in big demand last year, and some other things. So there's quite a few things. I wouldn't say everything's in here yet because it's still young. I mean, it's only a few years old, but I mean, this thing just keeps growing every month. So it's a nice platform. I think people like it, and most of the people who come on board kind of stick with it. And yeah, but it's really cool because then I get to meet, like, every single day of the week. I'm talking to different firearms related companies all over the country, big and small. So I get to find out firsthand what's going on in the industry every day. So it's a really kind of unique position that we have.
Yeah. I'm looking at the online credit card processing thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is very cool because I used to own a gun shop, and one
Right.
of the things that I ran into was trying to get a credit card processor.
Right. Yeah, there's I would say that was really kind of like hitting the fan I don't know, 3 and 4 years ago, somewhere in there, 2 years ago, right? Like 2 years, right in there. But yeah, there was. I described it on another interview I did, because if you didn't see the entire industry, like the entire kind of supply chain and everything, but it was basically, it appeared to be an attempted strangulation of the firearms industry. You
Yeah, it
know,
was actually called Operation Choke Point.
oh, okay, there you go. So that makes sense because it was trying to choke it out. And so I remember when we were starting to get calls left and right, like, hey, do you know a firearms friendly payment processor, or bank or whatever? We went out actually trying to find some. And so we got a few in there, and these have all been with us for a while. And but every one of these guys, if you call them and you're an FFL, they'll take care of you. You know?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That was one of the big things that a lot of people are running into, and it was even called Operation Choke Point. So I don't know how they could even try to say, "Oh, it's not really, we're not really targeting the firearms." They marked firearms as high risk businesses, which
Right.
was kind of ridiculous.
I know. Well, I've had this conversation a lot. You know, if you look at so the in the banks, there's the high risk markets, and the high risk markets are firearms, and then there's like pornography
Yeah,
and like cryptocurrency, and there's these different things. And I think it's funny that this industry gets grouped in as high risk when we're the only ones protected by the Constitution. Like we're the constitutional right industry, yet it's considered high risk. So
yeah,
whatever, it
and
is what it is.
I actually wrote an article about the whole entire thing, and what I found out that was interesting was that the firearms industry has a lower credit card fraud rate than almost every other industry out there,
Right.
especially in retail. The credit card fraud rate is like 2% on average, and in the firearms industry, it's below one.
Yeah. Well,
Because
if
you
you
have to run a
know,
background check.
yeah, you run a background check, and just from my experience, and I've said this over and over before, like I've worked in many other industries, like obviously the arts is many areas of the arts actually, but in this industry particularly, if you listen to like the way that the mainstream media reports it or anything like that, the people are hillbillies or they're crazy or it gets slandered quite a lot, and the picture that gets painted is very false. You know, now I've worked in this industry, like I said, for over 5 years, and almost everybody I talk to, almost everybody is super cool. They're family oriented, community oriented, law enforcement or military oriented, like they're patriots. Um, it's a really great group. It's completely the opposite of what's reported in the media, and I know that firsthand because I've talked to literally. I mean, at this point, I've probably talked to, I don't know, 500, 1,000 companies or something. It's a lot over 5 years, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it gets maligned a lot.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's kind of really ridiculous. Most times when I take a person to the range, they're the anti-gun.
Hmm.
They're very scared at first, and then all of a sudden they realize this isn't bad. It's not a bunch of white hillbilly rednecks out there. Um, I am so oversaturated. It's just driving me crazy, but that's fine. It is what it is. Let's see something here. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh, I bought an expensive webcam, and it's not giving me expensive webcam results.
that's all right. Well, if it makes you feel any better, it's dark in here.
Yeah, let me actually move it down here. Maybe this will work better. No, that's a lot worse. All right. Yeah. Next week I should be back in my studio, so and we should be going back to normal shows here shortly. But yeah, my wife is coming home early. And I see sleep out there. Not sure what platform you're on. Maybe D Live. But whatever. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your art here. So I'm going to throw up some of your paintings here in a
Sure.
minute. But before we do that, how did you get into art?
I've been doing it my whole life. So I mean, I kind of grew up painting and drawing and writing stories, and I played piano for 8 years. I played saxophone for 4 years. I got into film and TV and radio in my 20s. And, so I've kind of been all over the arts. And then I took off to art school for college, which is more like a trade school, really. And then, so I've been doing it for a long time. So I've had my art studio for 20, God, that's scary, 20 years, over 20 years now. And so it's just what I did. That's what I kind of grew up doing.
Now, is it good enough to make a living at, or
sometimes
up and down?
It's been different. Like, through my 20s, for example, I was jumping around. So I was doing paintings, and I was selling paintings, and then I was also doing acting and film and TV and radio and stuff. So I was kind of doing that for a while. And then, but I always had like, especially in my 20s, and I would have like a day job. So I would have what I called like my real job, and then I'd have my like art career. So I always did it concurrently. And so now, I mean, I have two businesses, and they're both mine, luckily. So I have my art studio, and then I have the gun industry marketplace. So, and like I said, the nice thing is that they're sort of piggybacking each other now. So the gun industry marketplace has really helped my art studio, and then my art studio has been helping the gun industry marketplace, funny enough. So
you have a really unique style. I'm going to bring up one of your artworks here.
Yeah, thanks.
Just to show, this right here.
Yeah,
that kind of looks like a suit that Trump would wear.
Yeah, well, this painting is called Hashtag. In fact, I started a couple of years ago, and then I finished it the Friday before the 2020 State of the Union address this year. And when I watched the State of the Union, it's just what he was saying and everything. And he said the whole thing about the Second Amendment and everything. I'm like, God, the guy's kind of setting me up, because if you look at it, hashtag, if you can gather from the title, kind of referring to Twitter, it is sort of an ambiguous Trump painting. So yes, it is ambiguously or not so ambiguously Trump. And, and there's just some things in here that I like, like the pistol there, that's an HK-45, a Heckler & Koch, which is one of the two that reportedly Trump actually owns. And so that's why you have this sort of ambiguous figure of this figure of Trump holding the HKs, because he's reportedly owns one of those.
Now, that brings me to the next question. How do you get your motivation, like to paint something? The idea just come to you, or?
Exactly. I mean, and I won't go off on a whole tangent, but I think a lot of the arts, not just fine art, but like film and music, and you'll get a lot of complications that have been put on the line. You'll have a lot of weirdnesses that have been created, which aren't all true. And so sometimes when I create a painting, I'll have something that I just like, I have a good idea, and I'm like, oh, I want to make that. And then you have to sort of like bring it out of your mind and put it on canvas, which is, it doesn't always translate the same as you're thinking. But then there's other times where it's actually very simple. Like one time there's a painting that is in, I don't know, I sold it at a gallery show. I did it in Stockholm, Sweden. And so it's out in Europe somewhere. I don't even know where it is. But this one painting, I just simply liked the pattern of lights and darks. And so I just painted that. So it was a very simple thing, Now that painting, hashtag, I don't know, for as simple as the image is, I was kind of trying to say a lot, because it's sort of like, I consider it like a portrait of American life right now, because, Trump is so in the news. He has been so in the news. Firearms is so in the news. Even the background of that painting is kind of 80s. And so the 80s are back in style. And there's some more that I could glean, but I don't want to kind of rob the viewer of what they might take away from it.
Yeah, some artists don't like to share everything. They want people to pull.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about my paintings. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super significant when it comes to that all the time. But then again, yeah, I mean, it depends on who's looking at the painting. They may get something. I mean, that I'm a Trump voter, you know, so I'm not anti-Trump or anything. You know, me and my family we're Trump supporters, and you know, so but if you were not a Trump supporter, you could actually look at that painting and see, oh yeah, see Trump, he wants to shoot people or some, I don't know, somebody could walk away with some other viewpoint, which is fine. That's art. If you do art, you're gonna get viewpoints. People are gonna look at your stuff and think whatever they want to think. So, you know, so you kind of leave some to the imagination. You want that. You want that. You want to communicate to them, but you want them to kind of communicate back.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite paintings of yours, and this is of a PPK.
Correct. Yeah, that's the to be specific, that's the Smith and Wesson version of the PPKS.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean the ones all the way up through 2012 were all Walther PPKs made by Smith and Wesson under license, actually. So it wasn't just until last year. Now they're actually making the PPKs again, finally. But now they're making them in Arkansas. But Walther is actually making them again. So that one right there, my model, right, my live model was a Smith and Wesson made Walther PPKS.
I see. You do everything from your like brain, like think about it, like what the way it looks, or do you get like a PPK or you know
Well,
or
for sure, yeah,
PPK and send it in
yeah.
front of
Like
you or
you know, I want to see what I'm painting, you know, so there's always the aspect of like, what am I thinking of, or what do I want to say, or what do I want to communicate? How do I want it to look? So there's always going to be like that aspect, right? Then there's things that I will just paint. There will things that I will look at that I want to paint, or, you know, because like some of the firearms can be quite detailed. You know, I'm not going to remember every single line. I don't have like whatever that photographic memory term is. You know, I don't have that. Um, so yeah, so I'll use little references, but the thing I would do with my paintings is like, again, I'll have like this idea in my mind of what I want to do, but then some point during the painting, and these were experiments I was doing with my own art about 10 years ago, but there's a point where I feel like the art sort of comes alive, and it might sound a little art nerd here, but like the the art itself does. It really starts to come alive. It starts to take a life of its own. And what I would do as the artist is like I would start painting it, and I would pay attention for this particular point in the painting, and then I would just sort of follow along the painting. Like the painting, I would just do what's right for it and just kind of like go with the flow of where it was going. And sometimes by the time I was done, sometimes it's been completely different from where I started. Um, so it's just an interesting phenomenon that I really enjoy kind of when I'm painting. So I'll just sort of, you know, let it roll and see where it goes, you know?
yeah, I can understand that. It's like when I write. Sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna write. I just
Mm-hmm.
start. There was I can't remember which a writer said that they like how do you write so many novels? And his answer was 250 crappy words a day.
Yeah.
And
Right.
basically, what he meant is you start writing, even if you don't want to write, and you have to write 250 words. And then after 250 words, if I still don't want to write, I'm not going to write.
Right.
But
Well, writing is a great example because that's
yeah,
the same thing where like you may, even if you have like an outline, like a beginning, middle of an end, you don't know all the bits and pieces. And when you're actually writing the story, you're in your imagination and it's sort of like playing out, or this happens and this happens. And so the writer can be very, he can be surprised. He's having fun. He's like watching his own little movie in his head as he's writing it. And so that same phenomenon, same thing. It's very similar with art. I can, you know, it plays out differently while I'm doing it.
yeah. I just want to show the viewers and everything my favorite piece
Mm.
that you have done. Um, this is iconic World War II. I take it.
Actually, that's Vietnam era.
Vietnam. Oh wow. Okay.
Vietnam era, and that one is I titled it "An Unknown Soldier," and I was actually hired to do that one. That's a portrait of a client's father, actually, that they hired me to do.
Wow, that is really really cool.
Yeah, thanks. That's also my wife's favorite.
Yeah. How would you describe your art?
Well, it's funny, like in all the art stuff, there's so much like false, confusing things you can run into in the arts where there's all these just like politics almost. There's like this ism and that ism and this art form and I was for years I actually spent trying. I'm like, how the hell do I classify this look? Because it's definitely distinct and it definitely evolved over time. For me. Um, the way I finally did it is if you look, my original bent as an artist when I was younger is I was really into impressionism, and these are like your guys like like Claude Monet is a big one that most people know. Lots of color, lots of lights, lots of darks, and you're really trying to give the impression of something rather than like a photorealistic representation, right? So I was really into impressionism. And I went to art school, and I'm not sure I really picked the right major, but I majored in illustration, like commercial stuff. And illustration is, for the most part, it's very tight and it's very controlled. And so I had this like experience in this art degree in like illustration. And then when I came out, I started doing my own paintings. It sort of naturally came out in the work, where it was a mix to me of impressionism and it was a mix of impressionism and illustration. So I still actually right now will consider myself an impressionist, but more of like a modern impressionist. This isn't your old French impressionist from hundreds of years ago. This is you can see these aren't photorealistic paintings. I'm not trying to capture the photorealism of something. These are the impression of something. Like every detail isn't always there. Like in some of them, if you look in the areas where it's dark, there's absolutely no detail. So I don't know. I kind of consider what I do, modern impressionism, I guess.
Neo impressionism.
What's that?
Like a neo impressionism.
Totally, yeah. I mean, the terminology even for me, I'm an artist. I've I've been in the arts my whole life, and even the terminology, I'm like, wait, what does this mean again? Or which one is this one? And after a while, you just, whatever. Do you like how it looks or not?
Yeah. New Wave 2 is by far. I mean, The Unknown Soldier is my favorite, but New Wave 2 is by far, I think, the coolest artwork you've done. Like when I contacted you, I was like, man, I'm into art.
Right.
I'm not good at art, but I'm into art.
Right.
My dad's long-term girlfriend owned a art gallery, and we have a bunch of art, like probably no one that you've heard of because they're not super big names, like a Bodwin. We have it's not like a big name or anything like that, and some other we have like a Warhol. That's not a big name either. We don't have a Warhol. Just joking.
I was gonna not a big name. I don't know, that one might be worth a couple of bucks, man.
Yeah, we have like the most expensive one we have is this guy named Pratt who does a lot of art, and we go for a little bit of money, but
No.
So yeah, I'm into art.
It's funny about like also being an artist and then also having my firearms related company is I bring that stuff up, and there's a lot more people who are creative people. That's new. That's New Waver 2 right there.
Yeah, that New Waver 2 is really really cool.
Yeah, that's another one. I just finished that one earlier this year. But there's a lot more people in the firearms industry that are artistic. Recently I was talking to somebody who works in the industry, and they're a screenwriter, and you're a writer, and I'm an artist, and I've talked to a bunch of other people where they're artistic in something, or they. So I think there's a lot more than people would admit in this industry, and but it is true. Like I've got friends in various arts industries, and they're so liberal If you say that you're a Trump voter, for example, or if you say that you're a conservative or a Republican, you will be alienated from some of these. And I know it's cost me sales. I know it's cost me galleries. There was one gallery, I won't name it, but I was actually looking for another gallery, and I was thinking, well, this looks like my work would fit in there. My work seems like it would fit in with these artists. And but then I saw that the next week that they were hosting like an anti-gun, it was some kind of like gun control art show, and I'm like, I'm screwed. These guys research me, they're gonna hate me.
Yeah, there's an artist I'm trying to look up right now. That's not him, but his art is so cool. It's every. I'm trying to find. I can't remember what his name is. It's totally locked up. You wouldn't know him. You know him either. I saw him in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
His art in Europe. And turns out he's an American guy. And I can't remember what his name is, but he uses chili peppers in every painting. There's a chili pepper somewhere.
Mm.
And I don't know. I can't remember. His art looks very 90-ish.
Like 1990s.
Yeah, it's like a lot of like it's like black backgrounds and like like very vibrant red
Right.
chili peppers and stuff. I can't remember what his name is or something. I'm hoping I can find it. I wanted to get your opinion on it, but all I'm showing is Flea from really Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Chili's logo.
I like the chili peppers.
Yeah, so
that's my generation.
Yeah, I've seen him a few times. I can't find it, but one of his things that he does is in every art piece he does, um, he puts a chili pepper somewhere in there, like an Easter egg.
Right.
I can't remember.
I have kind of a similar thing of mine. Like, I don't know if you happen to notice my art studio's logo. It's that green guy. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the story of that is, that guy right there. Exactly. So the reason that's my art studio is that character is an alien. His name is Greek. And I've been writing and drawing about him since I was age 11.
Oh, wow.
And I have like a whole sort of universe and other characters, and it's all very sort of space opera. And so Greek has been kind of like this thing in my life. Like in high school, everybody knew Greek. I used to make my own shirts with Greek. He was drawn all over everything. And that's how that evolved to be like my art studio's logo. And I don't do it in every single painting, but it used to be. Maybe I should do it again. But he's hidden in some of my paintings, like little kind of, not necessarily like Where's Waldo, but I would try to work Greek in. I can think on the ones that are featured on my website. I think there's a couple where if you look, he's in there. But again, he's not in every single one. So, that's kind of a fun thing to do if the guy's doing the chili peppers,
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is for the life of me.
There,
that's cool. You even got a tattoo of him.
Right. So I figure if I tattooed it on my arm permanently, I must like it at least that much. I hope so.
Nice. But it's interesting because you go through and it would be like a little red chili pepper. It can be anywhere. And the scene has nothing to do with chili peppers, but there's always a chili pepper in there. I thought that was really, really cool.
Right, yeah.
It was like a little signature. And I was wondering, you have a Greek and you started pinning him in not in all of it, but a lot of it.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, what made you decide that you wanted that character to be in a bunch of your artwork?
I mean,
that's probably not a typical question you get.
No. I mean, yeah, and it's funny when some of the paintings, to be totally honest, I just forget because I'm like, oh, I want to put Greek in this one, and I'll totally forget, and then I'm like way too deep into the painting to turn back, But like, you said you're a writer, right? So like, are you doing like nonfiction stuff like that?
Yeah, I do mostly nonfiction. I'm a journalist by trade.
Right. Well,
But
like,
I have a couple books. I've done a couple of books, and I got a book that I'm currently working on now. I do a lot of interviews.
mm,
Like I blew off kind of, Glenn Danzig is.
oh yeah, totally, of course.
I kind of blew him off. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling interviewing him.
Mm.
So I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll call you back when I finish this interview. And I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna do that. My editor calls tonight, and he's like, what's up with the Danzig interview? Like, all right, I'll call him back tomorrow. I don't know why. It just, I just,
That's pretty funny. You
he,
blew off Glenn Danzig.
well, he's doing like an Elvis album
Oh, really?
with all Elvis songs.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of actually that's not too far of a stretch of the imagination for him. Actually, I could kind of see that with him. You know, you remember the Pulp Fiction? Are you a Beatles man or an Elvis man? He's
yeah,
clearly an Elvis man.
yeah. But he was always, he was just, he's way into Elvis.
Yeah.
I not, I mean, I really don't dig Elvis's music too much.
Yeah, well,
So
okay.
I
So
was
if
like,
you're like, I was going to answer your question with like, so with your writing, you know, when you're like doing a story and you're getting into it, like it gets very real for you. You start seeing it, you start picturing it, you start getting
yeah,
the dialogue, and so it's with this Greek guy, you know, like it was the same thing when I came up with him. I just started drawing them, and I was into comic books as a teenager. That was a big influence of mine too, you know. So I do comic books and stories, and everything got so real. I had a whole planet. I had a whole storyline. And at one point, I thought, you know, I should write these into some novels. And what I decided to do differently is I thought, well, why don't I just write these stories into my artwork? You know, just over time, I'll just do these paintings and I'll know most of the story, but people over time, then they see these paintings, especially as I keep cranking them out, they'll start to see these same people over and over, and they'll be able to kind of create their own stories too, which I thought was like a cool idea. But, you know, so Greek is just this very real character for me. I've been writing about him since age 11. So that's a lot of time to create something and get a lot of stuff going on about it, you know?
yeah, yeah. With the whole pandemic going on, has the art businesses suffered at all?
I haven't sold anything. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, um, I can't see people buying artwork the last couple of months. You know, I don't think that's what they were worried about. You know, so I've done some, but then again, it sort of feels like, you know, this isn't totally the right time to do that, and you know, so yeah, I don't think that's what people are worried about the last couple of months. Now the firearms related business, on the other hand, has been all right.
Yeah, it's been
You know?
booming.
Yeah, so that's why I love this country. You know, everyone's like, oh, well, there's a pandemic and the government might shut things down, and everyone goes, all right, well, I'm gonna go to the store and buy some guns and ammo.
Yeah, it's funny.
Cracks me up.
Shannon Watts was pleading for people to stop buying guns who have never bought guns. Shannon Watts is, she's Moms
Mhm.
in Action.
Oh,
My
okay.
arch nemesis is.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I couldn't see it because she blocked me on every social media platform there is. But she
Mhm.
was pleading for people to stop buying guns.
What are you supposed to do though? Like, you know, I mean, I try to. I'm obviously not a middle of the road guy. You know, I decide what I'm going to do and say, and I just do it. You know, and some people, I don't know. I try not to alienate people so much, and you know, I'm not out to like make a bunch of enemies or make an enemy out of the entire left or something like that. But I'm also allowed to have my own politics and viewpoints, and but then I think about states like California or my home state of Illinois or Michigan or Virginia, and I see these governors, and I'm like, dude, what are you guys trying to do? You know, your governor, for example, that guy, man. If I've never seen anybody who's not trying to egg on a fight before, dude, that guy is trying to start a fight.
Well, you got to realize that he took a lot of money from Bloomberg.
Oh, there's a big shocker.
Yeah, well, everyone in Virginia, Bloomberg bought the Virginia elections, the whole Democrats. If you look at like the first three major campaign donors in Virginia are all Bloomberg front groups.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, that's why I really like the protest that they had earlier this year.
Yeah, the lobby day. I was GOA, which I'm the director of the state of Virginia for. We
Yeah,
were
so that,
involved in lobby day with BCDL. We actually won a case a couple of days ago, Monday,
mm,
on for about like they shut down indoor shooting range because it was non-essential,
right. I saw
and
this. Yeah,
we took it to court. Northrum try to kick it up to the federal level by saying, "Hey, it's a Second Amendment case in disguise because we were suing because of violation of a Virginia law that says you cannot violate the Virginia Constitution."
right,
We have Article One, Section 13, which is our right to bear arms, and they're like, "Well, there's a right to bear arms in the federal Constitution, so this is actually a federal case in disguise as a state case." And
right.
they sent it up to the federal level because the Fourth Circuit's like very anti-gun. But they even looked at it and said, "This isn't a federal. They're suing you because you violated the state constitution." Here, state courts handle it, and the state court ruled that he was when he shut down the indoor range, he was violating the Virginia state constitution and the Virginia law that says you cannot use emergency powers to suspend the Virginia constitution.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's I don't know about you, if especially from your role there with the GOA, but and it's already starting. I'm already starting to see them happening, but there's going to be some mega lawsuits, man. Like, I think they're going to start to roll out. There's so many infringements, not just for the second, but
Yeah,
all over the place.
yeah. I mean, I have some behind the scenes knowledge of some lawsuits that might be coming down the pipe. I'm not gonna tip our hand too much,
No,
but
of course.
and plus my other job as a journalist, I've also heard from other gun rights groups about other lawsuits that that I've heard off the record.
Right.
But I would say there is a very, very good chance that we will be seeing lots and lots of lawsuits coming down.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one of my thoughts about this, because as this whole thing's been playing out, I was even looking at, like, Trump. Like, I'm a Trump voter. I'm a Trump supporter. You know, in fact, I would go so far as to say, had this pandemic happened, and there's some, like, so even some of my art studio customers are not Trump people, and I'm very cool with them, and they're very cool with me. We're all allowed to have our different, like, politics and stuff. Um, hey, is that Nancy Pelosi tearing up my painting?
Oh yes, it looks
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah, she wouldn't like my artwork, I guess. But my wife made that picture, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, but I actually was thinking with, like, Trump, like, he's been saying drain the swamp for years. And I just look at this going, like, so he's letting the governors run their states, of course, right? And it almost appears that he's letting them run it so far so that it almost, like, outs who these kind of, like, wannabe dictators are. It's almost like he's letting them, um, you know, infringe on our constitutional rights. Like, hey, just let them roll, let them out themselves so the people can see who they've elected. And then, now you had, I think it was just in the last week, the DOJ was in Barr saying he was going to, they're going to start looking into this stuff, any constitutional infringements at the state level. And I don't know. So I've been starting to really think about that, going, wow, this almost seems like kind of a drain the swamp strategy to me.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully you're right.
Yeah.
There has to be something. But Barr says he's going to go after governors who violate the Constitution.
Yeah. I see John Voorhees talking to us over here.
About Q. I'm not a big Q guy. A lot of the stuff that Q says has been insanely wrong.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I've
But when
looked
you throw
into,
spaghetti at a wall, sometimes you hit something.
yeah, well, I've looked into that quite a bit, because especially I think over the last 2 months, probably a lot of people have, because everybody's at home wondering what the hell is going on. And after I looked at it all, I trust my own 2 eyes and ears when I see something happen. I look for different facts, and some of it I admit is pretty interesting. But true or not, I finally decided. I go, whether this whole Q movement is true or not, I finally decided that I liked it because I feel like it's bringing the awareness up of a lot more people, of some real players who aren't our friends, like like these deep state players, like big pharma and vaccine manufacturers. And now there's all these people on this train going like, hey, there's some real a-holes there. And I don't know how many people are now aware of that, where probably they wouldn't even thought about it 3 months ago. But then when the entire world gets locked down, all of a sudden people are like, whoa, we didn't think that would happen either. So I finally decided that I liked the movement, whether or not it was true, simply because it was raising people's awareness of some real evil stuff that's actually going on. So that's my 2 cents on it at the moment. We'll see how everything plays out after all this, right?
Yeah, just don't go trying to raid a pizza restaurant. That's an AR-15 looking for kids.
Oh yeah, no, that won't be me. I had somebody reach out to me, 2 people. One guy reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. Nice enough guy, but he was actually reached out to me on a call to arms, like an actual call to arms over Facebook. And I'm like, first of all, dude, this is Facebook. Don't say anything like that on Facebook. I'm like, of all places, like, you're gonna like end up in like some CIA database or something,
Yeah.
But then I had another person reach out to do these protests. They wanted me to, I guess he wanted me to head up the Nashville area protest. And I said to him, I said, look, don't get me wrong. I'm obviously a big supporter of the Constitution, and I believe in our First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and all that. But just that night before, there was that mass shooting that just happened in Canada. What was that? Just in the last week, right?
Yeah, up where the guy dressed up as a cop.
Right. So, and I've actually had my attention on that. I'm like, man, these protests are going to be, if they ever want to do some false flags, this is some good turf, And I got small kids, so I was like, yeah, and to be totally honest with what I can do on the internet, with internet marketing and all that, I can do way more damage on the internet than I can on the doorstep of some building. So I thought, yeah, let somebody else take that role. I'll come out here and keep on with the good fight.
Yeah, I am basically acting as a single dad for a little bit until
Right.
my wife gets back. So I'm not going anywhere because I have 2 kids that I have to take care of. And
Well, I know it's something you really got to consider. Like, I mean, as much as the rebel in me, the good rebellious American that I am, I would love to go protest for my rights, because they get chiseled away. I mean, I think we're both old enough to have seen the Patriot Act and 9/11 and all that, and just the little chiselings away. But then, I got to think about the kids. I can't go doing something stupid. I have to be very smart and very, tactical about what I'm doing,
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that for me. It's I it's not like I can hire a babysitter right now to watch them as I go to a protest. I'm not bringing them to a protest.
Right.
So,
There's no like covidbabysitters.com.
yeah, maybe we should register that, go into business together. Partnership.
There we go.
Yeah, so I can't really do that. How did you end up in Tennessee, by the way?
It was a mix of work and family. I actually spent a decade in Florida, so I was like kind of Illinois forever. Moved to Florida for a decade. I traveled all over the U.S. and then just had some work and family up here. And Nashville is a great art city, and so we came up for a year to see if we liked it, my wife and I, and we liked it. And that was in 2012, and we've been here ever since. And now you'd have trouble dragging me out. So I love the Nashville area.
Yeah, Nashville is a pretty cool area. I had a bunch of friends that moved down there temporarily. They're all back up here, but they went to Nashville for a little bit. It's a big music scene. There's a big art scene.
Yeah.
And everything else. But yeah, it's cool. I don't mind their hockey team, and I hate most hockey teams
Hmm.
because I'm a huge hockey fan. But
Oh, here.
so
Here's when we start a rivalry. I don't know if you can see this.
no, what is it? Oh, Blackhawks.
There you
All
go.
right, no, I don't like the Blackhawks. Hold on. I got you one better.
Let's see. Yeah, well, you know what? I finally like. I haven't had like the last 2 years. I haven't had enough time to watch hockey, and it's funny. Like here I am in Nashville. I'll admit the Predators are pretty good, man. The Predators are good, so I can't talk bad about it. And I feel like a traitor being in Nashville
Yeah.
and still rooting for the Hawks. But
Look at that.
the Capitals. Do you
Oh
know
yeah.
who the Capitals had that we just got back to the Hawks was Andrew Shaw.
Yeah.
Andrew Shaw was hands down my favorite player on the Hawks through all those years of the dynasty and everything. Um, yeah, he was my boy. And then he was at the Capitals, and I was like, oh, damn, I guess I'm gonna have to watch. I guess. I know, was it the Capitals he was with? Right? No, it was the I'm mixing them up now. Whatever. I'm getting them confused. Anyway, now you know my favorite player. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you didn't go to Caps. I would have known that. I know all Caps players. I'm a kind of a huge hockey team. I know he went to the
Who am I thinking of
Canadians.
all of a sudden? Was it he went to Toronto? Is that who I'm thinking
Canadians, I
of?
think.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Montreal. I'm pretty sure. 99% sure.
Well, any hockey fans watching this are going to be like, "Wow, that guy sucks at hockey."
Yeah, I think he went to Montreal.
Yeah. Well,
Man,
we got him back
Montreal.
now, so I'm happy. And then he got injured this year, so I was like watching just for my boy, and I didn't even get to really see him that much because he was out.
Yeah. I'm a massive hockey fan.
Yeah. I just got into it maybe the last 7 or 8 years. And obviously, I've been more kind of on the art side, like film and music and art and stuff like that. But then started watching hockey and picked it up and picked that up. And it's a really fun sport to watch.
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's real exciting. And it's fast, a lot of action. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, there was a guy that was tweeting. It was a funny guy. He never seen hockey before, and he was tweeting. He's like, "Ah, I found a hockey game. Let me just watch this."
Mm.
And he was this like black guy, and he's like, "Why have you white people been hiding this from me?"
It's one of Whitey's secrets.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know what happened. The guy just punched him in the face, and they just called it a scrum, and they all went and played.
Right.
It would have been a penalty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "We're going to the power play." He's like, "I don't know what that is, but it sounds
I had
cool."
to pick all that up. I didn't know. I had to figure out what all these new, these terms were and stuff. I mean, when I grew up, we played baseball and football and soccer and all that, but you didn't play ice hockey. Yeah. At least I didn't.
I grew up in Virginia playing ice hockey, and it's very uncommon in Virginia. Well, now it's very common, thanks to before the Ovechkin era.
Right.
It wasn't common. Now every freaking person in the world watches hockey and plays hockey, and everyone's like, "Oh, I've been a hockey fan all my life," but I've actually been a hockey fan all my life.
No, see, like I said, I picked it up like 7 or 8 years ago. I don't know. Maybe it's just me settling down in my old age. I go, oh, maybe I'll get into guns. Maybe I'll get into hockey.
Yeah, hockey is my first love.
No.
When I was in kindergarten, we had to write like I had a journal thing. What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing? And my favorite thing was hockey. So yeah, that was a long time ago. It's like 39 years ago.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to answer if you don't mind, this guy, John Voorhees, is asking about Nashville. That tornado that went through, yeah, it was pretty bad. It went through the downtown area, just like east of downtown. And then it went for, I think it was like 30 miles east. So it's not all of Nashville. Like the entire city didn't get destroyed, but where the track was pretty good. I mean, the president flew in, so it was at least that good that the president actually stopped in for a visit to, do his thing.
Yeah. But if Brian Wren, yes, I do have the blue Soaring Eagle jersey. I have several of them. I probably have probably about 10. Um, I have 100 ARs and 10 blue Soaring Eagle Capitals jerseys. So I don't know. But yeah, that tornado was bad. The Boo Boys, I don't know. They got all the gun protests wearing the Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. They were going to go to Tennessee Lobby Day, and when that tornado happened, instead they went and handed out did supply runs down in Tennessee. Lobby Day was canceled anyway, but they brought like water and stuff like that down there.
Yeah, well, they the two things I was following like this month was like our governor. Apparently, he put forward our state's constitutional carry bill. So you probably heard about that, right?
Yes. Our director of local affairs, the GOA, is from your area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nice. So I was happy to see that. I mean, I figure if whatever politician is putting forward a constitutional carry bill to have, further armed citizens with less regulations, I figure they can't be all bad, because you think if they want to disarm the citizens, that's when you should have attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been paying attention to that. And then I forget, there's the other thing you were just talking about. I lost my train of thought on it. But yeah, that obviously that got all hold up. It was because of with the virus and everything. And there was something else in there that got lost. And all this coronavirus noise.
Yeah, there were a couple different things that got lost. There were a couple of gun laws that were being passed or being considered in Tennessee that we were pushing for. I know we sent Maj Toure down to Tennessee, down to Nashville.
I don't know who that
is. Down to Maj Toure with Black Guns Matter.
Oh, gotcha.
Very, very cool guy. He can reach a demographic in a way that we can't. He's he's the definition of keeping it real. So he went down there to try to push, for constitutional carry and stuff like that.
Right.
Good guy.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's just that I don't know. It's kind of my opinion on it is it's needed that we have constitutional carry, but then again, it's redundant. we already have constitutional carry. It's in the Constitution, So and that's always been a question of mine. Like, I don't know, maybe one day in our ideal world, someone will just go at the state and local levels and comb through these tomes of law books that these guys have created and just go like, yeah, this violates the First Amendment. This violates the Fifth Amendment. This just throw them in the garbage. Because that's the thing I don't understand is the 50 the states agreed that the U.S. Constitution was the senior law of the land. And then those states can govern themselves, good or bad, but they all agreed to this document. And so that's always one thing that I that's where you have to sort of trust your politicians or not. I don't, I just think it's funny that we have to pass a bill to get constitutional carry when really the rightest thing to do would just be to take that Second Amendment, exactly what it says, make sure it's fully understood without anybody's crap interpretation of it, and then comb through the law books and get rid of it. You know what I mean?
It's a living document. What are you talking about?
I know.
Crap.
I know. It's a living document. Well, yeah, it's it's meant to evolve. I'll agree with that. But that's what the further amendments are for. It evolves over time for change.
There's a way to do it.
Right. And I don't know about you. If you read anything after, there's certain things starting about 1913 that get a little fishy for me.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
know.
definitely.
So
I,
anyway,
I would
that was
even say
my
before that. I would say 18, like pre-Civil War, like the 1850s and the
probably
1860s.
all that time through the Civil War, and finally in 1913, that was like these central bankers trying to get their
Oh yeah,
little
the
fingers in there.
central bankers teamed up with like Woodrow Wilson and stuff. And if you read Wizard of Oz,
Like the book.
which yeah, which is not the movie, the book, which everyone thinks is a kid's book,
Hmm.
but it's actually a political satire.
Hmm.
And everyone in there, like the cowardly lion, is William Jennings Bryan.
Hmm.
That's what it's supposed to represent. And it wasn't ruby red slippers. There was gold. I mean, there were silver slippers.
Hmm.
And the path of gold, whatever.
All right.
It was that was the gold standard. And when they switched to the silver standard, it was the
Hmm.
silver stepping on. It's very very interesting. If you read about the writer,
Hmm.
uh, he was like an Ayn Rand type person.
Sorry, say that again.
He was like an Ayn Rand type person,
Hmm.
like like a Fountainhead. Some guy who would listen to the Fountainhead, or not listen, who would have read the Fountainhead or something like that, or Atlas Shrugged, who was that
All
type.
right.
It's very interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah, we've been talking for about an hour, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and I definitely enjoyed your art. Why don't you
Yeah,
tell
thanks.
people how they can find you? I'll put it up.
Yeah, you can if if you want to check out my work, the website's really easy. It's just owenyork.com. The gun business is gunindustrymarketplace.com, and I think all my social media is just at owenyorkstudios.com.
Yep,
So
and
nice and
those
easy.
all went up on the screen and also in the description and everything else. I want to remind you guys that if you want to join GOA, you can join GOA and get 25% off by using code Black Media. You could also follow me on Real John Crump on IG and Facebook. My Twitter is CrumpySS, and that's more political stuff than anything else. Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. Buy some gear at Black Fun Tactical. Some t-shirts and stuff like that. Really cool stuff over there. And join the conversation at youtube.com/John Crump too. I'm trying to push my YouTube channel more. My Facebook's built up, my Instagram's built up, my YouTube not so much. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to build that up a little bit.
build it up before we all get banned from it.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to build up multiple social media platforms.
Right.
So if everyone follows me everywhere, no matter where we get kicked off from, I will have one. I even have like a Minds and a Gun Streamer and a Full 30.
I know. We need a new one, man. We need another one.
Yeah, one that's not going to fail.
Right.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and that is it. Next week, I should be back in my studio and out of my office, where basically the only thing I do here is like play Call of Duty. I do all my writing on my laptop in front of the TV. Do my and all, but yeah, I just play Call of Duty on this and 3D print stuff. Um, But yeah, that is it. So we will see you next week. I'm going to have Matt Dust Cowboy on, the producer of our great show. And also, he went back to school. So we'll be checking in with him, talking about new gun laws and stuff like that. And everyone else out there, have a good night. And that is it. I'm going to play the outro. I have no idea why you can't hear the sounds from the outro video, but hopefully you guys can out there. Okay, now